my name is Jessica Brown. We're from the University of Florida, and today we're going to discuss the effects of genetic editing on the livestock industry. Ding! Hey, have a seat wherever you like. I'll be right with you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, how are you doing today? Can I take your order?
Yeah, sure. I'll just have a small latte, please.
Okay, perfect. You look familiar. Are you a professor at the Animal Science Department?
Yeah, I'm a genetics professor there.
Okay, very cool. I took an intro to animal science class last semester. I'm actually a business major, but I kind of wanted to just get more of a look at the agricultural industry.
Right, and how'd you like the class?
It was really interesting and kind of gave me a little bit more of an insight on where my food comes from. I just wish I would have gotten some more information on it.
Right, okay. Well, actually, I'll, in a moment here, I'll be having a conversation with a producer and a packer here. And yeah, you can definitely sit in and listen to the conversation and participate. Or if anything, you can stop by my office at any time. I'm the Animal Science Department.
Oh, very cool. I really appreciate that. Let me go grab your coffee for you.
All right.
Hi, Dr. Baca. Thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Hey, Aaron, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Nice to
So
meet
my
you.
name is Erin Jones, and just to give you kind of a backstory of my operation, so we run 5,000 cows in the middle of Okeechobee, Florida, and so we're a part of the Florida Cattle Ranchers program. So we use a lot of artificial insemination on our first-time calving heifers, but we've been having a lot of issues with tuberculosis, not only my operation, but also one of my neighbors that's also part of the Florida Cattle Ranchers. And then today, I also brought my packer with me.
Hey,
Hi,
nice to meet you.
Kylie Phillips. So we process a lot of the cattle with the Florida Cattle Ranchers program, and recently we've seen a decrease in the number of head that have been coming to be killed. We've actually had to decrease a couple of shifts per day.
Okay. Well, you sit down.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you've been having a little bit of trouble selecting for resistance to diseases like tuberculosis.
Absolutely.
So today with this information, I've come to talk to you about this new up-and-coming technology. It's called gene editing. So far it's been mostly used in plants, but lately there's been some studies showing promise with animals, specifically with cattle, specifically on tuberculosis, that gene editing has helped improve resistance to tuberculosis. So let me tell you a little about this technology. It's actually a set of methods of gene editing, like TALEN or CRISPR or Cas9.
Okay.
Basically what it allows us to do is allows us to silence or knock out a specific gene in the animal genome or enhance it, which can have ramifications in the performance of the animal, such as increased resistance to tuberculosis.
Oh, perfect. So this means I can select more traits for like reproductive traits, or maybe even have my cattle grade more in the upper 2/3 choice range. Do you hear that? That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that might definitely be a focus for future research projects. I mean, this technology in animals is definitely in the earlier stages, so
Oh, awesome.
that's something definitely to look out for. But right now, we're mainly focusing on health traits.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
So do you think that this will help us see an increase in the number being processed? I mean, we want to meet our demand, but we don't really want to flood the market in the same token.
Right. I mean, it definitely will help with the survivability. Specifically talking about health traits with animals, definitely help with the survivability and the overall numbers that might at the end be processed. But that's definitely a question for future research projects involving economics, that how the increased supply might affect the economics of the price, that whole aspect.
Oh, hey, Erin,
Hey, good.
Robert, what
I
are you doing
know.
here?
You know, I'm meeting with Dr. Baca. He's actually trying to help me improve some of my genetic selection in my beef cattle operation. Have a seat.
Hi, Dr. Baca.
Hey.
I'm Nicole Patton. I've
Nice to
actually
meet
heard
you.
just a little bit about this. I actually own a Hispanic market in New Mexico, and we've had a lot of problems with not having enough product, like our lamb product and our roaster hogs. I've heard a lot. They've been trying to select against that porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome. But I don't know what to tell my consumers when they come in and ask about that. They're really worried about it, and I don't know how to relate that to them on what it really is.
Right.
So I'd love to hear more about it.
Yeah, well, and there's definitely been studies that have helped with resistance to porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome in pigs and other other diseases with sheep. So what I was telling them about this technology, it's basically during a procedure on the actual genome of the animal. It's not a procedure on the live animal. It's in the very early stages of development in the embryo, and you're altering the genome, either silencing or enhancing a gene to be either not expressed or more expressed when the animal is alive.
Okay, and
Which
it's
can
totally
help
safe,
inform
right?
us.
That's a big concern for them, I know my consumers.
Yeah, so far there's been a couple studies done in, well, I told them that the technology, it's mostly been used in plants as of now, and there was this whole, as you might have heard, consumer craze about what this technology might do for animals eating those feeds, or what it might do for humans eating those foods. A lot of studies have been done, and there hasn't been any real adverse effects on animals or humans. So it's definitely safe. And it's definitely something to look out for in future studies with animals, but you could say, I would assume, I expect it to be safe.
Awesome, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you guys. Do you ladies want anything to drink?
I'll have a coffee, please.
I'll take a coffee as well.
I'll have water.
Okay, perfect. I couldn't help it over here. I was talking to Dr. Vaca earlier. I said I took an intro to animal science class to kind of learn about where my food came from, and I overheard you guys talking about the genetic editing, and that's kind of a new fad I'm seeing all over social media. So I just had a few questions, like does that mean our food is all coming from the laboratory, or how does that work?
Right. It actually doesn't mean that the food the food you will be eating is coming from a laboratory. It's a procedure done in the early stages of the embryo, and you're altering the genome to give the animal a difference in performance.
Okay, that
So
sounds totally safe.
Yeah, it's definitely safe. I mean, it's been mostly, like I told them, it's been mostly used in plants, and no studies have been shown that there's adverse effects for health in humans or animals. So I
Okay,
expect it to be alike in humans.
very cool. I've just seen a lot on social media lately about how cloning is immoral and how it's not ethical, and I don't know how it affects animal welfare or anything like that, but it seems to be okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably something that you can use your own judgment on the whole morality question. In terms of actual measurable data, gene editing has been shown to increase survivability of animals due to, increased resistance to diseases like tuberculosis or porcine reproductive or respiratory system. Definitely increases the animal welfare related to that. So I believe it's, the consumer should be really happy with us
Okay,
using this technology.
awesome. I really appreciate you guys kind of letting me sit in on your conversation a little bit. Let me go grab your coffees.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
Sure, thank you.
So I really appreciate you coming and visiting us today, and I think not only answering our questions, but also my good friend Nicole's questions. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
Actually, I
you
have to
so
go.
much.
So,
Oh.
it's been nice to meet you.
Oh,
Karen,
thank you.
Allie,
Thank you.
Thank you for
Nice to
helping
meet
me
you,
better
Nicole.
understand.
for sure.
Do you have any questions?
You talked a little bit about positives and negatives, but what do you consider to be the most negative, or negatives, if you will, of this particular process?
I believe it's. Or you wanna-
Go ahead.
Well, it's definitely the consumer view of the technology. They're really not the best informed on research at any given time. Like what happened with the technology being used in plants, like corn or other grains to use in feeds. There's this huge craze in social media about what it might do to animals and what that might do to us in the long term. Like there's posters about, oh, this causes anxiety or ADHD in your children and stuff like that. That's definitely something that will be very hard to fight. Education and knowledge in the consumer.
Absolutely. I mean, as the average consumer is 3 generations removed from any kind of agricultural experience at all. I think it's really important for us as producers and packers and retailers to be able to really tell our story, to be able to make the consumer understand what we're doing and the efficiency that's really behind that.
And I think the minute you say anything with genomic editing, then the average consumer kind of goes automatically to unnatural and it's not straight from the farm, something like that. So I think that's a definite problem that we're gonna face, is just kind of editing, or kind of educating the audience on what they're actually getting when we say terminology like genomic editing.
And I think not only the consumers, but people like retailers who are going to be probably the first people that the consumers come to when they're at the store. They're going to go ask the person behind the counter, what is this about? So I think it's really important for everybody in the industry to kind of communicate that with each other, so that everyone along the process and at every stage of the industry is educated and can relay that information to the consumers to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I agree. To tie that in, I think it's a consumer education piece and then an industry education piece.